Hey guys, welcome to a new tutorial. Today we're going to talk about the difference between the planning and the Facebook buy-in exam. I think this is something that a video I recorded like 2 years ago, a while back. There's been some updates on the exams, and so I wanted to record a new one. This is a very common question that we get. Which exam should I take, the buying or the planning? What is the difference between both exams? So we're going to cover that in this video so that you know exactly what to expect for each exam. So I did this, and this is basically a little sheet where I wrote the content for both exams, and I did this because one of the things that you need to realize is that there's a ton of content overlap between the planning and the buying. And I think that's where a lot of people get confused with what's the difference, why should I take one versus the other? And I would say there's specific differences between the planning and the buying. And we'll go back to this again, but what I want to cover first is a couple of things that I think are important for each exam. And so if you're thinking about taking the planning, the Facebook Certified Media Planning Professional exam, I would say that one of the things about this exam is that it's more geared towards planners, right? If you're a media planner, a digital media planner, if you are more on the strategic side, so if you work within an agency and what you're doing is managing the relationship with the client, if your role is more working with a team and managing a team to plan campaigns, then Facebook has tried to gear this exam more towards that role, right? So this is more geared towards someone who is on the strategy and planning side of rolling out, digital marketing strategy within Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. Whether you are within a team within a company, or if you're an agency and you have a team and you're working with multiple clients, basically this exam is more strategic. And so what I would say that the topics, and this is where things differ a little bit, right, between one and the other. There's a couple of things that I would say I would focus if you're actually planning on taking this exam. And one is Facebook policies. So really understand what are Facebook policies with regards to like alcohol, tobacco, like age limits, content where, there's a gray area of how you can market certain content within Facebook. And so you want to familiarize yourself with those specific policies because you will get questions on that. And you definitely want to do creative policies. You definitely want to know, what are the best ways to market within Facebook, and especially I would say here with video. Like, what are the best practices for launching video campaigns within Facebook, right? When does the logo have to go in? At what point? What kind of messages do you use? How long should your videos be? You definitely want to be comfortable with launching branding campaigns within Facebook. And this, comes into play with ad requirements, right? Like, what are the best ways to launch your campaigns? And more specifically, like, what dimensions work better, right? Like stories, what your stories, like what size should your videos be? What works best? How long should they be? 15 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds? Like, what works best within Facebook, and how do you measure that? You definitely want to know the difference between auction, reach and frequency, and TRP buying, right? How do they all differ? What's the difference between buying ads or planning campaigns within Facebook within those different buying types? And how do they complement each other, right? Like, how does TV complement with reach and frequency, and within auction, and the differences? You want to familiarize yourself with campaign planning. So how do you plan campaigns? Again, it's more of a strategy side, right? How do you plan things? Objectives, and especially for branding. Like, you're going to get a ton of questions on how to use reach and frequency, best practices for reach and frequency, especially like for product launches, for like building brand awareness campaigns. You're going to have a store and also like an online store. They're launching a new product. They want to build awareness among its current customers. You definitely want to feel comfortable with knowing which campaign objective to use, differences between, reach and frequency, brand awareness, and video views, and when to use what. And I would say also know the difference between conversion lift, brand lift, and A/B testing. We have a video where we talk about the differences, incrementality, what is lift. Familiarize yourself with those, because that's exactly what you're gonna see a lot of questions on these for the planning exam. So that's a bit about the planning exam. With regards to the buying exam, and I would say the buying exam is more geared towards execution. So if you are working in an agency and you're actually managing ads, you're running campaigns, you're executing campaigns. If you work within the marketing team within your company, right, and you're actually running the campaigns, I would say that the buying exam is more geared towards you, or that's where I would say Facebook has tried to build this exam more towards someone who's on the execution and tactic sides, right? So they talk about digital media buyers, account salespeople, account managers, marketing executives, social media examiners. But I would say that the exam is really more about execution. Like from my experience and what I've seen with working with a number of people, thousands of people who are trying to get certified, is the exam seems to be geared more towards execution. And so you want to make sure that you understand Facebook policies as well, because you will get questions on that. But then business manager, like how does the business manager work? How do you set up client accounts? If you have a franchise, like how would that work? If you have, how do you give access to like your pixel to the web developer, whether you're working in an agency or you have your own company and you want to give access to different people? You want to understand the differences between executing campaigns within auction, reach and frequency, and TRP. And you really want to understand, each specific level of the campaigns, like especially with like audiences. What's the difference between using saved audience versus a lookalike versus a custom audience? How do you do remarketing with those audiences as well? And this plays a bit about like campaign objectives for different scenarios as well, right? But here, I think you really want to understand how to schedule and like program your campaigns, right? How to set up your campaigns when it comes to like your campaign level, your ad set level, and your ad level. What are the differences between, where do you configure audiences? Is it on the campaign level, ad set level, or ad level? And I would say more complex than that is like, what are the differences between optimizing campaigns within target cost or cost bidding control? Like you really want to go into details on how to set up your campaigns properly. So bidding, again, cost versus target. And then how do you measure your campaigns? So you really want to feel comfortable with using Facebook tools for setting up campaigns, but also how do you measure those campaigns? How do you use the pixel, the SDK, offline conversions, Facebook, measurement tools to better understand how to make your campaign successful, basically? How do you troubleshoot your campaigns based on those measurements? You're going to get a number of questions on troubleshooting, right? So you ran this campaign and it has this error, or you're not reaching your audiences, you're not getting to your CPM, you're not reaching your cost per install or cost per action that you're trying to achieve. What do you do? What changes do you make to your campaigns? And I think you want to understand that at least the differences in overall understanding of like conversion lift, brand lift, and A/B testing, right? You're going to get not as many questions on this, but you still will get questions on using brand lift. How do you, how do you read the results from a brand lift, from a conversion lift? How do you decide which campaign worked best, right? So if they give me two campaigns with like results of this multi-sell lift that I ran, which one do I pick, A or B, right? So you want to familiarize yourself with this. And again, I would say this exam is more geared towards tactics and execution. So if you're working within a team, you're executing campaigns, or if you're starting to run campaigns for your business, for clients, I would say that the buying exam will probably give you a better overall knowledge of Facebook and a better view of what's doable, I would say. And maybe not doable is the right word, but what's most commonly used, especially when you're starting out or when you're actually executing and managing campaigns. I feel like the planning exam is more geared towards people who work in agencies who are doing more like planning campaigns. They're managing larger budgets and necessarily conversion. And so I'm going to leave this document so that you can download it as well and you can see the difference. But if you look, there's a lot of overlap between one and the other, right? Again, as I mentioned before, your planning exam on the left side, if you see, it's more like translate advertisers challenges into specific and measurable business objectives, determine how to, Facebook fits within your strategy, review data sources, learning, analyze Facebook campaigns, industry research to find opportunities. So it's more about strategy, right? Like, how can I use Facebook tools to build a strategy and build a digital marketing and Facebook ads campaign for clients, for my team, so that it works? And how do you recommend best practices, right? How do I recommend to my team which buying type to do, placements, bidding strategies, and everything that we've talked about? But when it comes to the buying exam, I would say it's more execution, right? Like, explain fundamentals of Facebook buying, campaign to business goals, giving a scenario, right? So it goes back to like, how are you executing campaigns? How are you troubleshooting campaigns? How do you improve campaigns? How do you make your campaigns better? How do you make sure that you're following Facebook policies? How do you set up business manager? How do you give access to people? So this is more about execution. And the other one, I would say it's more about planning and more strategic. So I would say those are the biggest differences between both exams that you need to take into account, in that one is more planning, the other one is more execution. I'm gonna leave the link for this so that you can download it as well. And make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've published a number of videos so far that I think have done really well. And one is the latest, like, game plan, study and prepare for your Facebook exam. Things, how to study and prepare in like 30 days, a plan that works for you to study, how to decide which exam to take. Now you have almost 8 different exams that you can take within the Facebook Blueprint certification. So how to decide which one to take. And also make sure that you join our Facebook group. We have close to 17,000 members. We're posting questions of the week, and this has been done really well and pretty cool, where we actually post a question every week. You get to answer the question. You get to answer why you think that it's the correct answer. They're all coming from the Facebook certification exams website. And then I do a live session every week where we actually go over the question and how to tackle and answer those questions. So it's a pretty good way to learn as well. And we also have practice questions that you can get here for the exams, where you can practice. We have questions and also answers with videos and explanations so that you learn and know how to launch ads. So thanks again for listening, guys. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. I'm going to leave a couple of videos here that you can watch as well so that you can take advantage of all of our content, and good luck with your exam.